This
On
conference
the
will now be recorded.
9 o'clock on the dot. So good morning again. Couple things we'll get going here shortly. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for the Board of Commissioners for Lake Stevens Sewer. It is November 13th, 2020. It does show 9 o'clock. I'm going to read a little disclaimer real quick, as we have been doing for these past 7-8 months. And so let me go ahead and get that going. So commissioners, staff, and citizens, since this is a remote meeting, some initial comments are appropriate at this time. As required by the governor's March 24 proclamation, the Lake Stevens Sewer District is holding its commissioner meetings remotely using the GoTo platform. While this is not our norm, we're glad to be able to ensure business continuity for operations for everything. Members of the public who are participating, we are very grateful for your support and patience while we work through this interim way of doing business. Members of the public have been invited to join via virtual meeting format of the GoTo meetings. The public comment section of our agenda will be handled in the following way. First, comments or questions that were emailed to the Sewer District Commissioner Customer Service or otherwise received sufficiently in advance of the meeting will be read during the public forum. And then secondly, during the meeting, anyone wishing to have a comment during this public forum may use the chat box feature. If you can use the chat box feature, or we will allow time for you to speak and give you that opportunity to comment. Board members, we're going to take an attendance by calling your name. Please indicate whether or not you can clearly hear me and others on the line. We need to do this our very best in order to speak one at a time and not talk over each other. So our note taker, even though these are recorded meetings, can continue to take some of the minutes. So with that, we will start with Commissioner Stevenson. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, loud and clear. Commissioner Koshi, how about you?
Loud and clear.
Perfect. So with that being said, we will go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. So we are going to move on down to our agenda. I don't know if there's any comments, questions, thoughts, adds, subtracts, if staff or commissioners have anything to say on that. Hearing none, I'm assuming I'm hearing none. Nobody's spoken up or raised their hands, and I don't see anything coming out of the woodwork. So I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as submitted.
It has been moved, and a second.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It has carried. Thank you. We'll move on down to the consent agenda items. Note these were previously reviewed by the commissioners themselves, so it is just part of our process to be able to put them into one motion. So I don't know if there's any questions, comments by anybody. Not hearing anything on that. How about a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion that we approve consent items A through I.
So it
And I
has been,
second.
it has been moved and seconded. So with no further discussion, I don't see hands going up or anybody ready to say anything. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It has been passed. Okay, moving on down, public forum. Tara, I think you might be on the line. Have we received anything prior to the meeting? I would say Tara, staff, anyone? Any
Yeah.
comments, public comments?
No.
No comments. Okay. Well, this is an opportunity. If there's anybody in the public that would like to speak, please do so. I don't think we have anything in the chat box. I don't see anything up in the chat box window indicating anything's come in. And I don't see anybody jumping forward on this beautiful Friday the 13th. Not that that means anything, but that being said, we're just going to go ahead and then move on down to the old business. And so we will go ahead and start with the item A, which is a parking lot expansion change order number 1. And I will turn that over to the assistant general manager who's got his fingers up saying, yes, I want to speak to that.
Well, want to is pretty strong, but I will. So the change order one for the parking lot expansion was to replace the sidewalk panel that the contractor for the VBC office improvements had torn out because it was falling towards our foundation and it caused most of the subfloor damage in the boardroom. So the previous contractor tore it out, and this was just to replace that sidewalk panel. The cost for the change order is $4,500, and district staff recommends it for approval.
Thank you. Any comments by the other commissioners on that? Questions?
Nope.
Seeing and hearing.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think we'll also need a motion to authorize Tanya to sign that change order.
Okay, perfect. So let's entertain a motion if there so be the.
Yep, I'd make a motion that we approve parking lot expansion change order number 1, and that we authorize either general manager or assistant general manager to sign the required documents to move forward with that payment.
And I second that.
So it has been moved and seconded, authorizing the change order number 1 with the recommendation and authorization for the staff general manager or designee to sign that. So any further discussion on that? Not seeing any hands waving up and down frantically. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. It has passed. Moving on down to parking lot expansion pay estimate number 2, which includes the change order.
Yeah, so this becomes a consent item because consent item because the change order was included in the progress payment, so we needed the change order to be approved before we approved the progress payment. The progress payment is for $157,542.86, and district staff recommends it for approval.
Thank you. And I see Barry's got his hand up, so come on down.
All right, I just wanted to let you know that if you look at the quantities on that, you will see one item, which is bid item number 8, that is 3,300% of what the bid quantity, estimated quantity was. And that understandably might raise some eyebrows, so I just wanted to explain what that was. That's unsuitable excavation, and what we typically do is we go through and we estimate the amount of excavation that will occur within a project. We typically apply about 10% of that total excavation, assuming it's going to be unsuitable, that we'll need to remove materials and replace them. In this particular case, since there was gravel that was already there, once we got below that existing gravel layer, we ran into a significant lens of soft peat material, so it was not suitable to support the foundation of the parking lot. And because of that, we had the contractor remove a fairly sizable area, about 1.5 to 2 feet deep of material. So that's just the reason why there is a significant percent over the estimate. And I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of why that was, so that if there were any questions in the future, that before you voted on this, that you were aware of that. And that's all that I have, unless you have any other questions.
No, thank you. I appreciate hearing that, because I'm sure that inevitably somebody would ask that, and having those questions answered for us makes it a little easier on our hand. So if there's nothing else by any of the other commissioners, we can call for a vote on this, or a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the parking lot expansion pay estimate number 2, which includes those charges, in change order number 1, check 8111.
And I second that.
It has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It has passed. Okay, we're going to move on down to item number 7, which is new business for the district. Item A, discussion of general manager position and possible action. I don't know if the general manager has anything that wants to open it up, or any of the other commissioners want to say anything on that. But I know it has been a discussion item that has been in process since October. We did have a workshop on this exact discussion item yesterday on the 12th and spent time going over that. So I don't know if there's others that may want to have any discussion on that. But that
Commissioner,
floor
Commissioner Lorenzen, I actually had Mariah Lowe, who we had been considering as the interim general manager, be interviewed by a panel of general managers that manage a water or wastewater district that's comparable in size to ours. That interview happened last week. We had Jeff Clark, who used to manage Alderwood, but Jeff has now become a commissioner at Mukilteo. He is very well versed in the industry. He is very active with Waswood. He does a lot of lobbying. And the reason I chose Jeff is because of his deep knowledge and the breadth of how far Jeff's reach of knowledge is within the wastewater industry. So he sat on both sides. He sat in as a commissioner, and he has sat in as a general manager. So he knows the dual roles and the responsibilities that each position holds. And then I had Lynn Danielson, who's from Olympic View. Olympic View is very comparable in size to ours. Lynn is the same as Jeff, very active in the industry and knows what we'd be looking at in the needs for a general manager. And then Bernita is down in Douglas County, and I chose Bernita because of her size as well. She's a little bit removed from us, but she does have that comparable size, and she also is heavily involved in Waswood and knows the direction of where we're going with Department of Ecology, Department of Health, with all the permitting, with the nutrients and everything like that. And so she knows what our general manager needs to be prepared for, but also where our commissioners need to be informed. And so again, she's very familiar with the wearing of two hats and how those two positions work together and interact. And so on Friday, I think it was the 6th of November, she was interviewed by the three of them. I did not participate in that. They met with her for probably a good hour and a half. And then Jeff wrote a letter supporting to appoint her or to not appoint her. And I have sent that letter to you, and I'm sure you're going to be discussing that. So I'll pass that off to you.
Thank you. And just for clarification for some folks that might not know what WASWAT is, it's an abbreviation for the Washington Association of Water and Sewer Districts. So it is a statewide, as far as it's what like Association of Washington Cities is for a lot of the cities. It's a resource to be able to network and to work with peers within the industry, whether it's supplying waste or drinking water or wastewater as far as treatment. So that's just when we use those little acronyms, we want to make sure people who might not know what WASWAT is understand that. So I will open it up then to the floor for our other commissioners and I to have some discussion on that.
Yeah, I think it might be helpful just to kind of summarize, I guess, or walk through the process that this has kind of been a multi-step journey. Tanya announced her retirement, I think it was in late August, early September, if I'm not mistaken. At that time, and she was gracious enough to give a fair amount of runway, although we're going to use most of it in the process. But to allow us to determine how we'd go forward and find a replacement for Tanya to fill the general manager position. And then one of the ideas that came up, and I think it's important to note that it wasn't Mariah's idea, was to see if, given her background, both her management background as well as her technical background and education, whether that might be something that would be a fit or something that even be remotely of interest. And so that conversation, that exploratory conversation, started sometime after Tanya's announcement. We took that that direction or what we're exploring in front of the utility committee with the city, and shared that with the committee members there, resulting of that, we got a written recommendation coming back from the utility committee around an approach, their recommended approach from the city's perspective that could be used to select a general manager. We took that under consideration. We looked at it. In fact, I reread that letter that I have here marked up this morning again, and we provided a written response to that. So that was a step in the process. Somewhere after that, Mariah, or Commissioner Lowe, resigned her commissioner's position. And since that time, we've continued the vetting process as Tanya described. So with the 3 general managers of like-sized districts and a written evaluation based on both questions that were provided or input that was provided ahead of time, plus the in-person interview process. So I've had an opportunity to go back through Mariah's resume, back through the correspondence with the utility committee members, back through the written evaluation from the general managers, and I'm comfortable with moving forward with Mariah Lowe as an interim general manager, as we've discussed. This would be if we stay with what we've discussed previously, or if we change it, but what I believe is on the table to discuss is a 6-month interim position, and after which time we decide whether it's a mutual fit, whether Mariah is interested in continuing, and if it's a good fit for the district. And at that point, a decision would be made whether to make that permanent or what go forward plan would be in place. So interim for 6 months and then evaluation. So I'm comfortable with that approach if my fellow commissioners are comfortable. So let me go on mute, and if there's any questions on that long-winded setup, I'm happy to take them or let others speak.
No, I appreciate that, Commissioner Koshy. And, I mean, it has been a long process. I know that Commissioner Stevenson is new to the process, and she's been getting up to speed on some of the things. Since she was appointed, she's had probably more homework than the rest of us because it's suddenly 3 months worth of stuff coming down the pipeline. I do want to say, I mean, when the announcement did come through that our general manager was choosing to retire, it was a shock. I think a lot of us were like, whoa, we're just starting to click and move forward. But we all know that these days do happen. The succession plan within an organization is really important. And I think the district's always had kind of a succession plan that there was. Nobody ever really thinks about succession until all of a sudden it happens. I know that the initial idea when it did come, when I had my conversations with the general manager, were, hey, we have the assistant general manager maybe willing to take on this process and everything like that as we move forward. I will tell you, I was the one that kind of introduced the idea of saying, what is the thought process about if Commissioner Lowe at that time would have been interested in it? I mean, I'm a strong believer that we need to look within before we go and spend taxpayer dollars outside for a search. I think we have the talent within, and that talent within can include an elected official. It's not uncommon. It has been done in other jurisdictions, whether it's a city or a county. And so that is where I was looking at it from that perspective, because it's about the least amount of disruption and the best ratepayer value. It's very important that we look at it. Yes, we could spend $35,000 to go out and try to find somebody on the hopes that it would work out. I think the district's gone down that road before, and it's been mixed results. Whether it's really, I mean, we've seen the return on our investment, meaning the employee is still here. That doesn't generally work that way. And when you look at the amount of money that you do spend, sometimes if you only get a couple of years out of them, I don't think that ratepayer value is there. So it is, I think, is a very good option for the organization. It gives us, you know, I mean, one of those abilities to almost like when the current general manager, she sat in the role for a year plus. So it's kind of like, you know, we get the benefit. We know what is expected or how the person is going to work. And I think former Commissioner Lowe is an ideal candidate. Very steady, very well respected, has the background. I think that she is going to bring something to this organization that is going to have an added value. And as the interim with the 6 months, we will know for sure. So that's where we're at in the process. So with that being said, I'll open it up to Commissioner Stevenson to add anything.
I'd just like to say, again, I am new, but I have been kind of hopefully brought up to speed. I did get to review the recommendations from the experts, the panel that interviewed her, and they seem to have really strong feelings that she would be a great fit for this. And I'm really comfortable with their recommendations that they provided. They even mentioned that she has a good working relationships with everyone in the district and that, you know, knowledge of knowing what goes on here. So really comfortable with it.
Perfect, thank you. I don't know if there's any more discussion on that by any of the board members. If we do want to take action, it would be open to that. We do have it listed as a possible action item.
I guess the question is what's the action look like? I assume the action is a motion to proceed with a formal offer letter drafted by our board president and in conjunction with legal representation.
Yes, what it would be is that there would be, the motion would be to move forward, authorizing the president to work with legal and staff to draft a contract. And then it would be reviewed in a 6-month period if the extension offer was going to proceed from there. So pretty standard language for professional service, personnel contract with an employee. I don't know if our legal's on board and he wants to say something in there. Tanya, do you know if Brad is attached on one of these calls? I see a caller 2 and a caller 3.
Yeah, I would assume he's one of the callers, but I don't know. But I do. Oh, here caller 3 just became open.
Okay.
Mic.
So you've been muting me. Yeah, this is Brad. The action would be for the commission to authorize the hiring of Mariah Lowe as the interim general manager upon the retirement of the current general manager, and enter into an employment agreement that would be negotiated between the commission president, legal, and Mariah Lowe, and so that would be the motion.
Okay, then let's get to it. So I'd make a motion that we authorize the hiring of Mariah Lowe, specifically entering into an employment contract that will be negotiated between our commission president, legal, and Mariah Lowe.
And I second that.
So it's been moved and seconded. And just one point of clarification for myself, just to make sure from legal. I know that we were looking at one point having a the ability to have the outgoing general manager and the incoming general manager work, at least for a couple of weeks. So I don't know if we wanted to enter in before we lose that ability. Some I don't want to say cross training, but I mean, there are a lot of things that are coming into play that I think that maybe the incoming general manager may not have all the details, and this would be an opportunity to be working with the current general manager to make sure that those details are covered.
Yeah, Dan, I left that out of the motions specifically because I expect there will be overlap, and I wanted to allow that negotiation process between you, legal, and Mariah Lowe to work its way through for the best best outcome for the district. So I believe, unless Brad advises otherwise, that the motion as stated will provide that flexibility for you folks to get done what you need to get done.
Well, and I guess my clarification would be, since you don't have, you wouldn't have two general managers at the same time. You would have the interim general manager take her position upon the retirement of the current general manager, but I believe that there is a plan to have the current general manager have some consulting time to be available to aid in the transition, and the current general manager has indicated that she would make herself available graciously, and that's the way that it would be handled, because you just simply I don't think would want to have two general managers on the payroll of the district. I mean, the district isn't equipped to have two general managers at the same time. So.
Okay, no problem. I just want to make sure we do have a transition in place, and that'll be the big thing.
There's specifically there. We have a transition plan that is specifically to address that situation. It's a very good question, and the transition plan is anticipates that capability to handle that. So.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so there is a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion on that? I don't see their hands up in the air telling me yes, no, or maybe, so I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 That motion has passed. Congratulations to our new interim coming in. So we'll move on down to new business item B, which is a resolution.
Okay, I'm just going to take that. This is a housekeeping update. The sewer district back in early part of the year, we had a program for 40 hours of sick time that the district would pay towards an employee if there was any kind of COVID-related illness within their family, or they had to get tested or whatever. They wouldn't have to use their own bank. And that's part of the federal law of the Families First, and had to be updated. We had 40 hours. It is now actually 80. It is currently only in place until the end of the year. I did notice in this resolution there is a typo on page 2, so I'll have to have that fixed. And then we'll also add Commissioner Stevenson to this resolution, but it's just a housekeeping of changing it from 40 hours to 80.
Okay, any discussion on that by the other commissioners? Any thoughts? Hearing none. Well, looks like Commissioner Kochi is getting ready to say something. I don't know if he's getting ready just to make that motion, but.
Just ramping up for the motion.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and entertain a motion for the resolution 986 from one of the other commissioners.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 986, negative sick leave due to COVID.
And I second that.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 986, which covers the negative sick leave due to the COVID-19 from a 40-hour to an 80-hour and makes corrections, which are housekeeping to make sure that we have the proper commissioners in play. So with that being said, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 And it has passed. We will move on down to an interlocal agreement with the city of Cle Elum.
I'll take that one. So this interlocal has been 5 years in the making, not necessarily with Cle Elum, but initially the generator was offered to the city, then of Lake Stevens, then city of Puyallup, then town of Coopville. We all got to the almost interlocal part, and then it all fell through. So this is good news. So the interlocal agreement is for the city of Cle Elum to purchase a piece of surplus equipment, a 50 kilowatt Onan generator and transfer switch. The price of that sale is $12,248.75. And the city of Cle Elum is has already signed the interlocal and the purchase and sale agreement. And district staff would recommend the interlocal and purchase and sale agreement for approval. And we would also need a motion to authorize either the general manager or assistant general manager to execute the interlocal and purchase and sale agreement.
Okay, well, hey, that's kind of a neat thing. I think that Onan generator was around when I was with the city at one time. So, boy, that thing hasn't gone very far. Fortunately, it seems like we are finally going to make some sort of motion on it, even though it is Friday the 13th. But with that being said, you know, we haven't called for it yet, but hey, I would entertain a motion if there's a commissioner so desired.
I'd make a motion that we authorize a general manager or assistant general manager to sign the necessary documents on the interlocal agreement with the city of Cle Elum to get them a new generator.
It has been moved. It's moved and seconded. Boy, we are so close. So I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 We did it. Took many years, but we finally got rid of it. Thank you. Moving on down to, oh, go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
think there's conditions on that generator. Kevin wants some pepperoni sticks from Cle Elum.
I need a yard of that pepperoni. That's right.
Perfect. So there's item D on the new business, which is the notice of check numbers out of sequence.
So this is, again, housekeeping. We are replacing a check that was $267. And what it was is we had written a check for the wellness newsletters that the employees get each month. The company is changing to an electronic format. We had already paid, and they are sending us the check back, and we'll be actually issuing you another check, and I believe it's in this week's vouchers to approve for a lesser amount since it's being sent electronically now. So they've sent this one back, and it's just we're going to make it void. That's all. It's housekeeping to let you know that check's not outstanding anymore.
Okay, so we'll make a motion, clean that up. So entertain a motion for that.
Sure, I'll make a motion that we acknowledge the notice of that we have a check number out of sequence due to transitioning to electronic form of payment, and that it's part of the public record.
And I second that.
It has been moved and seconded to make note of the notice of check order out of sequence as stated in the motion. So I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 It has carried. So the next item up for business is a date change for the next board meeting. As we know, November 26th is going to be during the Thanksgiving holiday. And I am sure that while we'll all be sequestering our homes away from anybody so we don't get COVID, we still don't want to be showing up at the office because it is a recognized holiday. So we do need to make a date of change, which has been recommended, and it generally follows, which is a Tuesday prior to that, so it'd be the 24th. Just one clarification, are we going to have a budget outline? I know that finance usually gives us a budget outline, so that meeting could take a little longer on the 24th. So to let the staff know that it may not take an hour, it may take 2 hours for the entire meeting, or just schedule for that. That's it. So it would be open for discussion. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me. Would you rather, instead of doing the budget there, would you prefer a workshop? I mean, I know we're coming into the holidays and that's a short week. Is there a preference?
I'd rather do it all at once.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good at just trying to get it done.
We'll keep it as scheduled. Okay.
Okay.
And then that also kind of provides the budget background. And then if there's some folks, from the utility committee that aren't there, we'll have that all kind of buttoned up. So there's an opportunity to hear and participate in it there. And then following up, I think we are trying to narrow down an early December date for the utility committee to meet. So
We have a tentative date, I believe, December, first part of December. Jean and I
Okay.
spoke about,
Yeah.
I was the third. So I
yeah,
think
so we'd
Jean's just
have,
gonna-
that'll just make sure we're all buttoned up before the December meeting, whenever it is, with the utility committee, and we can review the highlights or whatever the utility president, Councilmember Peters Hagen, would like to see on that. So
Absolutely.
timing's good.
Great idea.
Okay, so I'm going to just make sure that the 24th is a good day for everybody, for the commission to meet on that Tuesday. It generally follows what we've done in past practice of setting it the Tuesday prior to any of like the big holidays, whether it's Christmas or Thanksgiving. So if that works, we could entertain a motion moving the board meeting from the 26th to the 24th, same time.
Do we need a motion on this one, or is this just a discussion item? I'm happy to make a motion.
I think a motion would be appropriate.
Okay. See, that's why Brad's at these meetings. He knows I go off the rails if he's not. So I'll make a motion that we do the date change in the next board meeting from the 26th to the 24th, 9 a.m. with a little extra time so we can dive into finances.
And I second that.
Okay, moved and seconded for the next board meeting to go from November 24th to November 26th. Same start time at 0900 hours or 9 a.m. It will last approximately 2 hours because we do have some finance. So has been moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It has carried. Thank you. And then F, we have a scheduled date for the second meeting in December. I don't think that anybody wants to, pardon me?
And I say you could do it on the 22nd.
Yeah, I mean, I would be open for the 22nd instead of the 24th, unless anybody wants to come in on Christmas Eve, but I am not seeing a lot of people jumping up and down thinking that would be a good idea. So that would be open for discussion between everybody.
I actually will be in Florida
Hey,
on the
lucky you.
22nd. Yeah,
Okay.
with my family.
No worries. You can phone in if you need to on
Can
the
I
22nd.
do that? Okay.
You sure can.
Okay.
If that works for you. How about you, Commissioner Koshi?
It works for me. See, that's why Dan has that fake background. We don't know where the heck he's at. He's probably in Florida right now, as far as we know.
Okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and entertain a motion moving the December 24th meeting to the 22nd, if that's what the commission would like to do.
Yep, I'll make a motion that we move the meeting currently scheduled on the 24th to the 22nd of December.
And I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded to move the December meeting from the 24th to the 22nd. It still will be at 9 a.m. in the morning, and it'll be to just do the usual business. So that being said, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It has passed. Thank you. Manager's report. We'll start with the general manager.
Good morning.
Good
I
morning.
want to thank you for putting Mariah into the position as an interim GM. I will work closely with Mariah even past my date. I have nothing really planned, more leave raking, you know, a couple of dogs to entertain. We are in December after all. Of course, there'll be lowland hiking involved, but I will be here for Mariah and everyone else as needed. I was really pleased to read the report about Mariah, and I think she'll make an excellent fit for the Lake Stevens Sewer District. I also received notification from Volunteers of America. They have quite a bit of stimulus money, and they are very generous in helping a lot of our customers, and we're referring them to the VOA if they need some assistance with paying their sewer bill. We are getting a check pretty much every day from Volunteers of America through that stimulus. And as you may know, if our VOA doesn't use the money, then they lose the money. So they're looking for people to support and to reach out to. We just received a check from someone for $580 yesterday from VOA. We're also seeing additional funds coming into Caring by Sharing by both employees and customers, and we're working with the Assembly of God Church on that distribution per the RCW to use a nonprofit to do the distribution of those funds. We are working closely, we continue to work closely with customers, and we have reduced the number of liens that we're putting on property because of VOA, because of Caring by Sharing, because of other sources, and customers are getting a phone call and being set up on payment plans. So our number that we have is 24 for this month, and that's a pretty good number, and our releases are close to double that. So we're seeing a lesser delinquency than what you would anticipate. I don't really know what to expect in 21 on what everybody is saying, so it could be a harder year in 21. We are working very closely with all the banks. As you know, that we have super liens, so the banks are paying us. We just submitted 70 accounts to banks the other day, and we are expecting all of them to pay within the next week or so. Next week or so. Yesterday, I participated in the continuing meetings of the Civic Center. It was interesting to see the rent numbers that they came up with and some of the other ideas that are being tossed around. There'll be a survey on the website coming up in the next week or so, and I would just encourage everyone to take a look at the Lake Stevens City's website so you can see their Civic Center, what it is they want, and then to participate in the survey when it does come up. And I'm sure that Jean will talk more about that. And that's about all I have for right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll move to I don't know if any of the other commissioners had any comments or questions.
Just that I really appreciate your flexibility, Connie, in working through the transition. And Mariah's still on the call. I mean, you're going to leave some big shoes to fill, and Mariah's going to bring different shoes, and that's perfectly okay. And so a new perspective is always healthy and powerful, and appreciate all the work you've done in terms of the transition already, and your commitment, even beyond your tenure. So very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would add to those sentiments also. Thank you. And one thing I would add too is just stay off long, tall ladders in your retirement that are properly seated on the ground, because you don't want to be falling off those again.
No, I don't.
Okay, so we'll move down to the assistant general manager.
All right. So the districts collected 241.1 general facility charges so far this year, and 354 permits issued. The Angeline Kyle, our GIS development coordinator, and every other feather in her cap, has been working closely with the city of Lake Stevens to put the finishing touches on the side sewer infill process to to get the city's involvement early for their review on the infill permits to prevent any more wetland destruction. So that's been about a 3-month undertaking, and Angeline's done a great job, and we're about to put a bow on that and send it to the commissioners for an update. District staff's been working with the city to try to figure out an alternate access point to lift station 11 while the city is doing the work on 91st. So we're working closely with the city on that. Decant facility is still progressing. The weather appears to have thrown a little hitch in the giddy up there, but it's still progressing and looking. We're hoping for a late December, early January kickoff for that facility to be done. Been working with Gray and Osborne on the flow monitors as part of our comprehensive plan, trying to get those planned out and installed. It looks like we'll have those installed in the next couple of weeks. With the lift station 1C, 2C, and gravity main improvements, Gray and Osborne's working on the gravity improvements now. District staff's been out there CCTVing so we can get kind of current condition based scores on the collection lines that serve downtown, the heart of downtown, Main Street and 18th and 125th, so we can give Grant Osborne some feedback. But from preliminary results, it looks like the gravity line in most of that area is going to have to be replaced as part of this. So that's going to be a pretty significant additional cost. But the lines are in pretty bad shape. We've done our Grant Osborne's done the soil sampling, and it's, as we all suspected, it's in pretty non-typical trench bedding, and not good news down there. So, but I think we're expecting, and Barry may be able to elaborate, expecting 30% plans on the gravity system probably in the next month. And then we had a kickoff meeting with Rodney Langer on the lift station 4C and 6C upgrades. And we're looking at, Rodney's looking at starting the pre-design report for us to give us some idea on the scope of the projects. And that's all I got. Any questions, comments, concerns, complaints?
No, other than thank you. I mean, I kind of look forward to seeing, I know that downtown has, I mean, historically has always been a tough area. Being with the city years ago, I remember when they did the Main Street rehab going towards the B&G, the line was sitting on large blocks of styrofoam to keep it, because the water table is so high, it's the only thing to keep it really level in that area, because there's just a lot of peat bog in downtown Lake Stevens. It was a drainage basin, and so we would expect that to be there. So I guess those costs will be something we will see in the future. I don't know if the other commissioners had anything to say.
No, appreciate the work.
Thank you. So let's move on down to treatment plant. Jim, I think Jim's on the line. Well, yeah, he's muted, it looked like, but I know he's there. So Jim, please.
Good morning, commissioners, and welcome, Commissioner Stevenson. Happy that you're on board from the treatment plant. So
Thank
our
you.
flows in dry weather are about 2.3 million gallons a day. Right now, we're about 2.8 million gallons a day, which talks a little bit about what Jonathan was speaking of. And our temperature, which is around 70 to 71 degrees Fahrenheit in dry weather, has dropped down to 64 degrees Fahrenheit, which has some effect on the nitrifying bacteria, but they'll be okay until you get around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which we historically do not reach. because that will slow them down. Then we would have issues converting ammonia to eventually nitrate and then removing the nitrate. We've been troubleshooting our boiler issues that have been ongoing for a couple of years now. The team has done a great job on the troubleshooting. They replaced a couple of parts. They are performing better, but they are not perfect. And so we have scheduled a service in 2 to 3 weeks from the company that installed the boilers. We all went to Flagger and CPR training. So if you need any flagging done or you feel like you want to practice CPR, we're ready for you. And we have a 3-day MBR, membrane bioreactor conference coming up. One good thing, I guess, from the COVID is it's online and it's free. And it's a great conference. It's an annual conference and people from all over the world will be attending. So we'll be doing that. Jeff Bosch will participate in that a lot, and he's well known in the field. Jeff's also been doing some extra micro checks just to look at the bugs that we have as we move into the winter, and we are doing some additional sampling with Kurt Meyer. So the team is working hard to prepare for the winter flows. And that's it. Well, that's not it, but that's all I got.
Well, thank you. Excellent. I'm so happy that you're down in that plant with our folks. That you're doing an excellent job, Jim. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Well, if any other commissioners had anything on that?
No, we're all good. Appreciate the good work at the plant.
Perfect. So let's move over to city report. I see the city administrator, Gene, is online, so please.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. Good report, Jonathan, on the decamp facility. The building is ordered, and I know Eric will get with you to start talking about equipment purchasing. He also mentioned that he's trying to track down those property owners 1st and 20th to get that access figured out. So he's working on that. The phase 2 of North Cove is moving along. I don't know if you've seen what we've got going down here, but the new restrooms are going to be coming out of the ground next week. The framing will start. The foundation is poured. The deck is constructed. It just needs the handrail. The rock wall is going in, so pretty exciting stuff there. We've got the mill website online now, so if you go to the city's webpage, there's an actual link to the mill, and you can do online booking and that type of thing. A lot of information on there. The public works shop is out to bid. That's a major remodel that's happening down there. New office spaces and lunchroom and meeting room going on down there, and we hope to have that under construction before the first of the year. The 20th Street paving is scheduled for the 23rd and 24th. That's part of the Bat Lane project to get that finished up. So hopefully we keep maintaining the good weather. The outfall study was daylighted with council this week at the city council meeting. And there's been a lot of discussion about the high water levels in the lake and the outfall. I think over the years that outfall has, the ditch line has, gotten smaller and smaller with debris being put in there and trees growing in it and that type of thing. So we are working with the consultants to figure out a game plan on how we can deal with that outfall. It might take some dredging of that to get it back to original levels. Certainly we need to be looking at the control structure, in the lake and updating that. Right now it's just some wooden boards that are in a slipway, and so we want to do some automation of that and have better control over the lake. But we did follow the monitoring plan of how much water we were supposed to maintain in the lake this year, and that's been a challenge in the past to be able to control that. But we had enough rain this spring where we were able to hold some water back and meet those requirements that have been set for the discharge permit on that. And then finally, Tanya had mentioned the Civic Center, and we do have information on our website. We're taking feedback, and we're going to continue to maintain that site so people can hear information of what's going on in the latest. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Any questions from other commissioners on anything? Don't see anything. We'll move to the commissioners' reports. Let's start with Commissioner Koshi.
I have nothing this morning that hasn't been talked about. So appreciate everybody's hard work and yeah, keep on keeping on. Appreciate it. If you need anything from your commissioners, if you have any questions, certainly don't be shy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Oh,
Yes.
weird. It went out for a second. Sorry. I assume you were talking to me, Dan.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'm just excited. You know, everything's new. I just want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to come on board and be part of this. I'm excited to just give back and serve the community that I love. I've lived here for 24 years, raised my family here. So I'm excited. It's feeling like a newbie, but excited. So thank you.
Oh, we're glad that you're on board. We all started in that position, so yeah, everybody has to start somewhere. So thank you for accepting, and we appreciate you taking on the challenge, because it can be challenging at times. But we probably didn't tell you that part. So the other thing that I have is, again, just want to thank the staff. Everything. I know we have a lot of things to wrap up before the year is over. I'm hoping that the December 3rd date does work for everybody for the utility meeting. I know that we have, well, we want to surplus the old wastewater treatment plant. That's coming up by the end of the year, so that'll be a discussion item we can do. I have nothing else other than thank you. The staff does an incredible job day in and day out. So I'm sure, and individually all appreciate the work that is going forward. I do not anticipate an executive session. I will look to the general, who has shook her head side to side, indicating no, which is good. So at that point, we can entertain a motion to conclude this fine meeting for Friday the 13th.
I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
And I second that.
In second, all in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. In theory, it might get nice, but don't hold your breath. So, if you want, go play in the snow. Yeah, they say they're going to get a lot. So thank you again. And I'll stop by the district sometime to sign paperwork that I failed to do. So thank you.
I will.
And you
as
too.
well. Yeah.
Okay. See ya.
Everybody have a good weekend.
Bye. You too. Thank you.